Okay, so challenge day was last Tuesday, March 10th, and I tried writing something on Managebac, accidentally erased it all. So I basically gave up, and I'm like, oh, why not do a video? Because I'll be able to, show my emotions more here instead of just in written type letters, excuse me. And this is all like not planned at all, so I might falter a bit, and we'll see how that goes. So when we first walked in, basically the teachers all gave us a high five. They were happy. They had the best the best attitude I've ever seen on their faces. And when I went in there, I really felt like I belonged, to start off with. And I mean, some people were like, oh, don't high five me, but I mean, I gladly took every high five that was accepted. And yeah, I really felt like I was part of the group. And then we started off with a game. I'll get into that. So it was like a musical chairs type thing where we ran around, and like they would call like, oh, you better get up and run around if you go to this school, or certain things like that. But what that really allowed me to do is that allowed me to connect with teachers and students I didn't really know, because when we sat down, we had to ask them like what their favorite breakfast was, how their morning went, other general small talk questions. And I guess, yeah, that bit was pretty fun with them just running around scrambling for a chair. And then out of nowhere, we had a random dance party, which that seemed pretty fun. They just turned on the music. They're like, you gotta show me some of your best moves. When we say dance party, you dance like you dance when nobody's at home, like right now, and you just bust out the best moves you got. And I mean, I guess that was just about 30 seconds of fun. You didn't really care what was happening. Everybody else was doing it, so you did it too. That was pretty fun. So putting the games aside, we all sat together, and Katie and Chris, our two coordinators, sorry I haven't mentioned them already, we talked with them about what we really want, what they were expecting of us from Challenge Day. And the real thing is that nobody had to feel isolated. If someone felt isolated, no, they wouldn't even let anyone feel isolated, and neither would we. That was our promise to them. And we wanted to treat each other like a family, like friends, like how we want to treat everyone else. We want to treat them in that way. And believe me when I say the thought of being alone or isolation did not cross my mind for most of that day, and it was really nice. So after we got into that kind of stuff, we did this other pretty fun activity where we linked up with partners, and I'll get into that. So what happened is when they started the music, you kind of grabbed a partner, and then we linked up behind each other like arms back to back. It's pretty awkward, but the reason that everyone still did it was because everybody else is being awkward with you too. So when you did it, it felt as good. Well, okay, actually that sounds weird. It didn't feel as good. It didn't feel as awkward, I should say. But once we'd linked up, we had like a weird dance party. I think I already said that, but yeah, whatever. We danced with two arms together, and it's awkward, but we managed. And then once the music stopped, we had to turn around, talk to our partner, say hi. And the questions they asked us, like, to ask them was kind of like, oh, how have your school achievements been? Anything you've ever been really proud of? Was there a really embarrassing moment? And I mean, I got to share stuff about tennis and, my youth. And I think this also helped me get to know everyone, and it really built trust for all of us, for each other, because what we were about to do next was something that really required a lot of trust and familiarity. And I'll get into that. And after this, we had it was almost time for lunch, but we sat together with, we did this patty cake thing, and then we sat with a group of people. Like for me, it was Miss Kuhn from Plymouth High School, and this other boy, and we ate lunch together with our group, and we really got to talk about, just general things, keeping the conversation going. And if they were like, your conversation ended, ask people what their dreams are, what their goals are, how they plan to achieve them. And of course, for me, it got to that. And I guess I got to share my goals there, but I'm going to speed up a bit because that kind of lumps in with the rest of the getting to know each other activities. But there was something really interesting that Katie said about hugs. I'm going to get into that. I apologize for saying I'm going to get into that a lot, but it's like it's my key that I'm moving on to something else. So what the thing that is true about human beings is you need about, you need about 12 hugs a day to maintain your full potential. And Katie gave us the image. She's like, say you were sitting in bed, you wake up, you just got 12 people lining up just ready to hug you right there. I mean, you'd probably hug them, go to the bathroom, be like, yeah, I'm the coolest guy ever, just to get that kind of stuff. So a big part of challenge, I guess, was hugs. And really, thing is, not everybody wants them, and we acknowledge that. So you were allowed to accept them or greet people in any other way. There was even a pretty funny hug demonstration, like how other people have hugged or how they've seen middle schoolers hug and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and that was, it kind of like, it elevates your mood. And 12 hugs a day, as hard as that is, if me or you or anyone else had 12 hugs a day, we'd probably be the happiest people alive, no matter how much adversity we would face. And yeah, after this, I'll move on to, smaller groups. So once we got, there was also a beach volleyball game with a big ball. That was pretty fun. It was more getting to know each other, too. But after that, we really got together and we sat in somewhat of a group. And what we did in this group is Katie and Chris talked to us about this concept called, the iceberg concept. As some of us probably know, the iceberg, 10% of it is exposed above water. So like here's the 10% above water. And then there's a 90% big part of the iceberg under the water. So they correlated that with human emotions, human personality. Like the image of me that I present in society is only about 10% of what I truly am. There's probably a 90% under me that people have, there's probably a hidden 90% that people haven't seen from me. And I mean, I guess that was pretty true. Sometimes we put on like a facade, a different personality amongst other people. And I mean, we'd obviously talk differently to kids than we would to, say, adults, to like friends and stuff like that. And those are all parts of that 10% that we put out there for other people. Challenge Day's main goal was going below, underneath that iceberg to the 90%, maybe getting to the 50%, 60% line, and opening up to many other people. Because to be honest, a lot of people, they show that 10% and 90% of their life is hidden only to them, and most other people don't really realize it. And I guess that's a fact that's pretty scary to me. I mean, I don't want to leave this world with only 10% of my life truly acknowledged. I want a lot more of it acknowledged by other people. I mean, even famous biographies, we probably only know 10% of Albert Einstein, Hitler, other things like that. Who knows? And so that iceberg concept led into 2 stories from them. This is where I like to say it got reals, because it did. And what happened is, when we were sitting together, Katie went first. She brought up some of her 90%. When she was younger, she was mixed. She is mixed, I should say. African, Hispanic, a bunch of other stuff. And what happened is she would eventually, she would be called names, and her friends would never, there wasn't a moment where they wouldn't remind her of her mixed ethnicity. And what eventually happened to her was she joked her along with it, and she usually introduced the joke about her ethnicity so she could control it. And what happens is, we might laugh it off. Like, if someone called me some racist comment, I might laugh it off. But internally, even if we don't realize it, it does hurt us, and sometimes that pain can build up. Yeah. So what else happened to Katie was, I want to say at the age of 16 or 15. Okay, actually, I regret that. Challenge Day stories are supposed to stay in Challenge Day, so I'll give you a brief summary. Katie also had some problems with certain intoxicants, and she is, I should say, a cancer patient, which she was diagnosed with at a fairly young age. But now she's actually been living 10 years free, and it was pretty nice for her. But at the time, she had all this bullying going on and this cancer. She was pretty sad with her life, and then she took up intoxicants. And I mean, this was an image I didn't see in her. I saw her as someone really nice, really funny, and so positive on the outside. But when we look underneath that, like, I wasn't able to see it until she actually opened up to us, and she talked about everything that was going on with her life, and you wouldn't expect it with the personality that she put on for Challenge Day. Alright, so next comes Chris. Chris's story was that it was a pretty sad one, I have to say. But I mean, first off, we shouldn't judge people's lives based on the sadness of their stories or their their internal lives, but I'll move on to that later. Chris was born gay, and what happened with him is he had 5 brothers, and he wanted to be a lot like them. Like, he played football, soccer, a bunch of these things just to be like them. And a thing about his mom, his dad basically left him, I think, at an early age, but his mom had like a drinking problem and of course drug problems. And what eventually happened with that is one day he just left his mom and he went, I think, to a college dorm. He stayed with someone else, and his mom was pretty mad at him. She'd call him every month or so. She'd be like, "I still care for you. How are you doing?" And then he's basically like, "Mom, I don't want to talk to you. You've got some issues that you need to settle out." And then a while later, his mom was actually found overdosed on drugs, and they found her passed away in his home. And that was a struggle for him because he never stayed on the right foot with his mom. But yeah, excuse me one second. Okay, for the sake of privacy, I moved rooms, but also I'm afraid I'm not really going to be able to finish Chris's story. What I've already said, I ask that this information doesn't get out to anyone else, and his story was private to him, and if he does see this, I'm sorry if I kind of gave your personal life away. That is yours to share, your property. It is not mine. And first of all, I'm going to stop there because it's Chris's story. So after that, we all got in our small groups, and what happened here is we were able to share with other people the types of, maybe our struggles, what kind of things we have. And oh my god, they did the worst thing. What they did is they turned on this really sad, emotional music, and I'm just already crying. And they were like, think about these hard times. And I faced, in my opinion, I faced adversity before, and there have been times I've come home, maybe, yeah, I've been crying, and maybe I come home, I'm like, oh, life is just shit right now. But we when they put the music on, we were told to lean back like this, close our eyes against the chair. That way we were able to kind of stay calm and not, maybe not go bawling out loud. But I'll admit, yeah, tears did well up in my eyes, and I'm pretty sure the people in my group around me could see them. But what happened is we were each given 2 minutes to share these stories with everyone. Okay, before I get into that, during the music, Chris was like, think about this time you were bullied, think about all this time. And when it came to people, I wasn't the only one crying. I think everybody cried that day. But moving on to how we shared each other's stories. So, we went around, we shared each other's stories, and everybody did get teared up. But the thing that was good was you got your 2 minutes. It was your 2 minutes. You said everything. And whether you thought your story was worth the trouble or not, nobody else would say anything. You got your own 2 minutes, and at the end, everybody got to, greet you, say thank you, in any way that they presumed. And of course, I'm not going to say the stories of anyone else. What happened at Challenge Day stays at Challenge Day. But, what this really allowed me to do was, it allowed me to open up the voice, open up about certain things that, as bad as it seems, I can't even tell my family, but I could tell these people because I'd built trust with them. And, the reason I couldn't really tell my family is because I don't know if they were really worth it or not. My parents might call me, you're being stupid, it's not worth an issue. Because, sometimes that does happen. But we got to share with these other people, and it feels good because now I know at least a bit of my 90% iceberg was shared. Other people at least know about it, and I'm not the only one who's gonna pass through this world without other people knowing the adversity or maybe the things underneath that I faced. Okay? And yeah, basically. And I guess what this allowed me to do was realize I'm not alone with my own issues. Other people had similar concerns to me, and in fact, I'm debating whether I should share my story or not. I guess if somebody wants to, I can share it with them in private. I can't really share it out in public like on YouTube or anything. But yeah, it was just a good feeling to know I wasn't the only one who had this adversity. Everyone else had some feeling that wasn't pleasant to them, something that had hurt their feelings. And the small group really, it gave me 4 other people who I barely knew, but I trusted. And it really, let me get that 90% of my iceberg out there. And I really like how that made me feel. I can't exactly remember what we did next, but another last big event I'll go over because this video is pretty long by now, was something called Cross the Line. What happened was, when Katie, she would say certain situations, and if something ever happened, then we would have to cross the line, say that this applies to us. So they might be like, okay, do you know a family member has died or something? Do you have a drinking problem, an alcoholic problem, drugs problem? Have you ever been hurt by somebody, even in this room, maybe outside, ever made fun of because of your race, color? And you realize that when you cross the line, basically there was never only one person crossing. There was always somebody else out there with you who had the same problem as you, and I think that's a powerful thing, because most of us, we might say, oh, I walk alone down this path, I'm responsible for my adversities, and all of this only happens to me, I have it the worst. But what we really don't realize is other people might have that too. We just see this facade of them, this image of them that places them as really positive people, and we don't really know what's going on underneath, but secretly we all have these adversities that sometimes we don't even get to share with each other. So, Cross the Line sometimes got emotional too, but the thing is, teachers were there to support you. Everyone was there to support you, and even if you weren't crying because of your own things, you really saw the challenges that everyone else faced, and it made you sad. It made you concerned about them, and I think that was a pretty good thing, to be concerned about other human beings. Because I didn't think I was very emotionally caring for other people until I guess that day. I mean, even just seeing them cry, you don't know what it's about, but you think about what it could be about that they're crying about, and you kind of just, you feel the tears well up, you feel sadness, maybe not necessarily tears. And yeah, Cross the Line was a pretty tough activity, and it went on for a while. But the really cool thing I liked that everyone did is, if ever we felt some sort of connection to other people, like we cared, we would put up this sign. This actually means I love you, I think, in sign language. You can ask Lauren about that. But when we put up this sign, it basically showed that, okay, we care too, we understand. Well, I don't want to say we understand, but we see that you have a problem, and we show love. We bring out our careness towards you. Basically, we care. That's what we were saying, and I think that's a good way to say it. So after this cross line activity, we got into our small groups again, and we went over what really we learned from this activity. This wasn't as emotional, but of course, it could get emotional. The girl to my right had a pretty bad story, but, I don't want to say bad, it wasn't a very happy story, and I did feel bad for her in a way that I wanted to connect. Okay, wait, I don't think I'm putting this the right way. I felt the pain for her, I guess. Alright, through the mess of words I just said, you'll probably understand what I mean. And yeah, we got to share, what it is about these activities that we learned, and this time we could talk as a group too. Everyone got in the small groups, but then we collected as one and we shared about different things, and it was a pretty fun time. Okay, last two things that we did. We got this type of card, and what we had to do is we had to write a person's name on it. And what we had to do is, this is the ideal person that we're really looking at. We had to write, okay, this was a person that really affected me in a positive way, and I think a lot of other people should be like this person. And who I wrote about was actually a couple of my classmates. If you want to know who they are, I have the card, but I'm not going to share it online. But what I really wrote is, what I really looked for in people is, there are only a few, I don't want to say only a few outstanding people, out of maybe even many, that I know treat me without racial bias, and I see them treating me in a way that they honestly treat everyone else. And I feel like they look at me, they don't see behind my ethnicity, they don't make assumptions, they don't judge. And I really like how that was towards people. So there were a couple of key people I chose that no matter who I was, they took me for who I was. They didn't ignore me, destroy me internally. Anyway, they carried this positive aura with them. Just seeing them makes them happy, and that's what was a really nice thing about them. So I wrote about those people, and of course we got to share our stories about that too, even within our group. And it was really nice how some people know this is the ideal that I look for, and this is the type of people that I really look at. And yeah, very quickly, in the end of the day, we were told to think again about what do you notice about your feeling before and after this program. And I mean, Challenge Day, I'd say it really did mark a life event for me. I mean, 1 week after, I'm still thinking about it, and no event has ever done that to me before in such a positive way. And although it was sad, I feel so great that I could open my voice up to other people and that I could share in this way. And lastly, what we did is we had to say the type of people that we really wanted to be. Some people said, oh, they want to be a leader, and I told myself that, okay, I'm going to follow that ideal person image that I come up with. I want to be the type of person that can actually turn someone else's life around in a good way. And I mean, that's probably a goal I have for me now. And okay, after this, after everything on the very last part was actually speaking up to other people, maybe saying things that you wish you had said to them before, maybe even apologizing, or maybe even just acknowledging some good compliments. Because for most people, it's really easy to, okay, which way did it go? I think it's either really easy to get a compliment, but it's harder to give one, in a way. Yeah, I think it's like that. And I'll get into that. So what really happened is everybody got to speak up and talk to everyone else, and I had a couple of people that I really went to talk with. And first of all, my first one was Mrs. Kraft. I went up to her and I acknowledged, with the ideal person image that I had, I was really thinking, she was the type of person who you see a person like that in the halls. They're always smiling. They'll say hi and wave to you, and just seeing them turns your entire day around. I mean, some people can probably connect with me on that. Miss Kraft is this individual filled with compassion, caring. She really listens to your opinion, and I mean, she's just so nice to other people too. Even if someone gets in trouble, she'll be nice to them, and yeah, she's just a great individual to listen to. And after I told Miss Kraft about that, because I actually got a compliment out there, because I probably wouldn't have told her any other way, to be honest, but it's glad to get it out there. I actually talked to Joe too, Walker. Yeah. What I told Joe was, when I first met him, I saw him, I thought he was quote, this elitist guy who spent all his time on his Chromebook, kind of an ego-filled dude. But I guess what I realized is, when I talked to him, we all are the same on a lot of different levels, and Joe might appear that way, but I don't think it was his intention to appear that way to me. That's just the image, the facade that I made of him, this judgment that I did of him that I probably shouldn't, because I mean, Joe's a great kid. He accepted what I was saying. He didn't think I was weird or anything. He's like, yeah, man, I acknowledge that. I understand what's happening. And yeah, I see him differently, and I see a lot of people differently now. So last clip, overall, I have some promises to fulfill and apologies to make, which I did do a couple. And it's nice because those people, they feel great when you say that to them. Challenge Day is really something, the real Challenge Day didn't occur then. The Challenge Day is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life from here on out. And maybe just being that compassionate, kind individual that you see around other people, maybe being that ideal that I want to see in other people. I think that's going to be my goal now. And the other day, 2 people have told me that, oh, your smile's actually beautiful. I'm surprised you don't do it often. So maybe that's a goal for me. If I ever catch someone looking at me, and maybe they hate me, or maybe they don't certain IB students, they don't say hi to me in the halls because, we're not that close, I will still smile to them. Maybe just giving them a sense of, hey, if you wanted to say hi, you could have said hi. If you don't, you're missing out. Just that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, I really want to be that positive, compassionate, caring individual, maybe as I saw in some other people. And I guess if that's a life goal for me, then yeah, that's a big life goal for me right now. And that's really what I took away from Challenge Day. I had real fun with Katie, Chris, everyone. We all had adversity, we all had bad things happen in our life, but we could turn that day into something positive. And I know this video is gone for really long, but I could basically do anything else. I could say a million things about Challenge Day. But I guess if I were to say one thing about Challenge Day, it really, when I get older, I'm going to tell my kids about it. And it was really that life-changing event that you might not take this seriously, but I know that in my heart it was that life-changing event that maybe I've been looking for a while, and it was really a way to open my feelings and get it out there. And I'm glad that Miss Kraft recommended me for it. I'm really glad that Miss Kraft is so nice, and I want to look forward to being that type of person. I'm going to end this now. If you have any questions, you can ask me more about Challenge Day, because there's probably some things I missed and some things I need to clarify on. But yeah, I'll get to that soon.